Well, hello everybody. Hello, it's Matthew Street as I get my final driving glove on, my sexy leathers. Faux leather, okay, folks? Faux leather for you animal lovers. I'm an animal lover too. Well, back in character. Hello, folks, and welcome as I put on me leather gloves, my driving gloves here, and my driving jacket. And where's me driving hat? Oh, there it is. We put on the old driving hat. Ooh, yes, and the wind protectors here, the glasses, and I got me driving scarf here to get ready to get in the vehicle and go for a road trip and go for a drive with the Beatles. Hi, folks. I'm ready. I am ready to go. Are you? Let's go for a road trip and go driving with the Beatles. Now, folks, I have to thank a viewer of mine, Rich. Thank you, Rich. He's always coming up with some good ideas for me. Threw this idea my way not too long ago, and I decided I'm going to go for it. And folks, this was a fun one. And maybe you can jump in too if you think of something I missed. Please let me know. The Beatles and road trips. The Beatles and driving. Well, we know they did a lot of road trips when they toured all over the world from 1963 right through to 1966. They did a lot of road traveling. But let's talk more in general. And then right at the end, I'm going to pick my 5 favorite Beatles road trip albums. When I say Beatles, it'll be one Beatles, and I have to pick one from each of the solo Beatles. That's the way I'm going to do it. But if you'd like to put a list here in the comments, please do your list of your favorite Beatles road trip music. I'd love to hear it. So I started thinking about the 4 individual Beatles. Now with John, off the top of my head, I could only think of a couple of songs that kind of relate to John Lennon and driving and road trips, okay? You got the one, he kind of shared the writing credit with Paul on Day Tripper, okay? So John Lennon gets a Day Tripper. We'll give him that one in his column. And he's also got a great song called Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride or Drive. So we'll give that one to John too. But that's the only really darn driving scarf. We don't need it. That's the only couple I could really think for John, per se, direct for John. I couldn't think of any off the top of my head from his solo years. I might have missed one. I'm stepping out. I mean, he was stepping out, but he didn't say he's stepping into a car to go driving. Okay, so that was, I tried to think of a John solo, starting over, starting the car up. It didn't really fit. But if you think of one, throw it in. Now with Paul, it was a little easier. I had Drive My Car for Paul, Magical Mystery Tour, going on a tour. Remember, they were all in the bus, driving along, going on a road trip. That's a classic road trip song, in my opinion. We'll give Paul a half credit on Day Tripper because he was part of that. Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Paul McCartney, driving or doing something else on the road. Let's not talk about what we could be. So I had a couple good ones there for Paul. Now, George was pretty good because George, well, let's face it, he was the only Beatle that was a big racing and car driving fan. He was into Formula One racing. He knew all the big racers, like Jackie, what's his name there? I'm sorry, I'm not a big car racing person. You can help me in the comment. But I'm not a big car race guy. But he knew all the big racing guys, and he was very big into it. And there's some pictures out there where he's at races, hanging out and watching what's going on and that. So George was big into driving, racing, road tripping, and all that good stuff. And for George, you got Heading for the Light. Maybe he's heading for the light. He's driving at night. End of the Line. He's driving end of the line. How about he's going Troppo? George is going Troppo. He's going to take a trip, go Troppo, road trip, right? I just thought another one for John, Across the Universe. Let's drive across the universe in our shuttle or something. I don't know. George, the other good one, though, I thought for George was on his final album, Brainwash, called Any Road. So there you go. Now, Ringo, he's got some. Remember on his Time Takes Time album, Don't Go where the road don't go. Okay, that's a good one for Ringo. You got Don't Pass Me By. Don't pass me by. I'm driving here. Don't pass me by. Stop and Smell the Roses. If you're going to be out there driving, going on a road trip, make sure at some point you stop and take it all in. Smell the roses, okay? And you also have, what else for Ringo? Don't pass me by. There are really not too many for Ringo. Ringo. I can't think of another one for Ringo. Can you? But if you can, like I said, I just did this quick, folks, just to have some fun. But the big one is, at the end of the day, we're all on the journey together, driving and going on road trips, because as Paul sang, the long and winding road. Right? So that's one. All right, so those are just some songs I thought for this driving road trip video. But now my album picks. Now this was tougher because they didn't have to be necessarily about driving, just albums you want to take on a road trip with you to listen to. And there were so many good ones, but I limited myself, one per solo Beatle and the Beatles. Now, Ringo. Right away, one of my favorite Ringo albums that I love when I'm out on the road is Ringo Rama. I just love being out on the road and listen to the Ringo Rama album. Naturally, I love the Ringo 1973 album when I'm out on the road. That's a fun one to jam out to while you're driving. But the one I picked is one of my favorite Ringo albums, and it's just a fun album from top to bottom. I wish it was longer. There's only 10 songs on it, so you got to switch the music on it after a while. But Time Takes Time is my Ringo pick. Time Takes Time. I love it. George. All right, George was tough because sometimes you may want some length to have it last longer while you're driving. So the natural choice would be All Things Must Pass, because it's 2 solid albums plus that jam album, which I don't really listen to. But anyway, if you really want to, you got 3 albums worth of material. I didn't pick that one. Then I thought about 33 1/3. That's another one I love when I'm out on the road, driving around, traveling around. I love 33 1/3. But you know, I went with my old favorite, folks, Cloud 9. Love Cloud 9. It puts me on Cloud 9 when I'm out cruising around driving. I just love listening to Cloud 9. It's just my George pick. Okay, so Ringo, Time Takes Time, George, Cloud 9, and now let's go with John Lennon. John Lennon. Well, there was a few I thought of for him. The one I thought it was, well, would I want to listen to Mind Games? That's his best kind of pop album. You know, like nothing really deep or heavy about it. A couple of songs, but it's just a fun pop album. But I said, nah, I'm going to pass on Mind Games if I have to have one pick of John's for the road trip. Then I thought about Rock and Roll. Now, if they remix Rock and Roll, like they did on that Gimme Some Truth box set when they remixed 1 or 2 of the songs on there and they sounded fabulous. If they remix Rock and Roll from 1975, I may reconsider. But the way it's mixed, and I like it, but you know, there's just something about it that kept it away from being my pick. So the one I picked, I had to pick it because it's my favorite John Lennon studio album. And if I'm out there on the road, I got to have it with me, and that's Walls and Bridges, because you cross a lot of bridges when you're on a road trip, and I just had to pick that one, Walls and Bridges. So, Paul McCartney. Now, Paul was tough because there's so many with Paul. You got, well, if you really want to rock out driving, there's the Russian album, Choba, B, CCCP, whatever it's called. That's a really rocker, you know, get out there, you know, there's some good rockers out there. Of course, Band on the Run. You're out on the run, you're on the road, and it's one of his best albums, Band on the Run. And another one that's close to my heart is Memory Almost Full. I love that one when I'm out driving around. I love listening to Memory. I really do. It's a great little album. Tough, but the one I picked, and there's a couple of originals on it, but it is mostly covers. I went with Run Devil Run for Paul. How can you not? When you're out on the road, putting the pedal to the metal out there cruising, you got to put on Run Devil Run and just rock out to it, right? There's so many great Paul albums could make this list of great road trip albums. And but I'm going to pick Run Devil Run if I have to pick one, okay? So Run Devil Run for Paul McCartney. Now we go to the Beatles, and this was a tough one because there's the majesty of Abbey Road, to have that when you're out on the road. There's the greatness and majesty of Sgt. Pepper, to have that when you're out cruising on the road. Love it. And then if we want length, the White Album. That's one to consider too. And then there's the rocking 13-track originals, all Lennon and McCartney originals on the Hard Day's Night album. That is a great album for road trips, man. You're out there cruising to a hard day's night. But the one I picked, I'm going a little off kilter for this one. It's the Beatles' Balls to the Wall, rockin' Motown, spectacular, genius album. The Beatles' second album. That is my pick for my road trip album for the Beatles. If I have to pick one, there's so many great ones, but I'm picking the Beatles' second album. That USA, I know a lot of people don't like it out there, but it's an American album, but boy, does it rock from top to bottom. The Motown, the rocking, the pop, the speed of it, just boom, 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 boom. One after the other, these songs hit you. There ain't no ballads on the Beatles' second album. Let me tell you, it's a rocker, and that's the one I'm going to take on the road. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little video. It was just, like I said, my friend Rich suggested it. I love the idea, and I said, okay, I'll throw something together. And so, folks, I just off the top of my head came up with this, pretty much on the spot here. So if you have something cool or something I missed that's important, please put it in the comments. Put your list of favorite Beatles road trip, driving, cruising, travel, whatever, songs, albums in the comments, and let's discuss a little bit. What do you think? That's it, folks. Thanks for being here from Matthew Street. I'm going to take off my faux leather and my faux gloves, driving gloves here. Well, they're not faux. They're really driving gloves. And I can't keep the scarf on because I'm sweating like a pig, okay? I'm sweating. I'm like Elvis at the 68 comeback special. I'm dying here. God knows what's going to fall out of this when I unzip it. I don't know. So anyway, folks, thanks for being here. This was a lot of fun. Thank you to Rich. Thanks, Rich, for the idea. Love you all, and goodbye. And if I don't take the glove off, it won't let me hit stop, so I took a glove off. Oh, thank you.